Hey y'all, Nana with LivingCooper.com. I have another Nana So Crafty for you. I'm trying to wrap up all of our daughter's t-shirts from growing up, which it's about time. She's 26. Probably how old her brother was when I finally got around all of his t-shirts. Picked up this furry, they called it minky, but it's got swirls instead of dimples. It's gonna be just the right size. Let's see if I can open this up. It is machine washable, not dry clean. Already laid out the shirts. How I'm gonna put them on here. Just need to get all the shirts sewn together and then attach them, and we'll go from there. Y'all watch how this happens. As you can see, I got my phone out and used my picture where I got some of these sewn together. I still need to trim these shirts down and the red shirt down. And then this bottom row is probably gonna be trimmed, or I'll add a piece here. That I'm gonna figure out later after I get the majority of it sewn together. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Hey y'all, I'm back. I'm gonna sew these together. So now that I've got these pieces together, it's time to cut that into a two-piece. I have to cut this one, I have to cut this one, and I have to cut this one so that they will fit. So let's get started. So I did the trimming I'm gonna do. I don't know the name of this band, but she got the autograph, and because the design kind of goes this way, I cannot trim this to keep all of it or make a full two-piecer. So I switched this one for Family Force 5, and I'm gonna add the little bottom, and then I will make all this work, and if I have to put an emblem or something behind here, we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing my rows together. I was thinking I was going to quilt as you go on that fabric, but now we're having this drama, so I think I'm just going to sew it all together and do the old-fashioned back to back, flip it, and then hem the edges. We'll see what ends up happening. Keep watching. Alright y'all, for a couple of things. You just saw me destroy a pin inside of my sewing machine. That's why I use cheap sewing machines. I'll never break that habit. I've been doing it longer than my daughter's been around. It's just a bad habit I have. Cheap sewing machines last me a really long time, even though I abuse them. So, you saw me a second ago put these two rows together, kind of out of order. But that's because this shirt and that shirt were more than one row. So I'll attach this here and that one there, and I've got to do the same for this situation. So I'm going to attach these two here, right sides up. Uh-oh, see, I almost messed up. Now I gotta look at my picture. Hold on. That goes there, that goes there. This is the seam that needs to be sewn. So here's where we pin this one. And we've got to do the same over here. Need to sew this seam. And then we've got to sew this to this side. Pins pointing to the sewn edge. I'll repin them correctly in just a second. All right, let's keep pinning. Okay, you might wonder why I got the clips out. I wanted to make sure this edge was straight, and I don't want to sew it. So I'm holding it with that because I don't want to get poked either. And then over here, this was that city view strip, and I didn't cut off the flap because I have zero confidence in my sewing skills, and I didn't want to cut it off, but I also don't want to catch it up there too much because this is just trash once we're done. And the same over here. I needed to line up the edges, but I wasn't sure where I was going to cut it, and I don't want to cut it before I sew it. So I've got all my clamps holding it in. And we're gonna just go over here and sew this puppy up before we keep pinning, maybe. Nope, let's keep pinning. right, y'all. I need to sew this, and then I found a little piece that's gonna fit in there. But I'm gonna do that after I pin and sew these together. So let's see what we can do. Alright, y'all, so I just got these and these connected, and when we laid them out I thought we were gonna have to shorten this, but I was able to make it work. But I don't know if you remember when we were cutting it how we learned that this kind of image goes crooked, so that looks quite interesting, but it is what it is, you know, quality control. And this was pre-COVID. So now I need to figure out what to do right here. I needed these shoulders, which means I need that. I'm gonna pin this piece in here as best as I can and attach it and sew it in. All right, so I'm gonna stitch in the ditch right here. Like I said, we're gonna lose the thought bubble. But it is what it is. Patchwork t-shirt blanket. I'm gonna start on this side and go around that way. If I had red thread, that would probably be nicer, but I do not. Everything's in storage. I only have white thread. Should have done a fancy stitch. That would have been cute. Do a fancy stitch across this collar, but nope. Plain Jane. Nana ain't fancy, y'all. Guess theoretically I could have rolled this back and sewn it in there, but not what I chose to do. There we go. A little peephole, New Life Baptist Church. I almost got it all in the ditch. It'll be all right. But I see that I didn't finish sewing these sides together. So now I need to pin that side. I need to get this side pinned. Okay, y'all, so I have a single row, a double row that had a double column shirt there, and another double row with a double column shirt in the middle. I still have this hole. I think I'm gonna have to put something here, just because it's not gonna be t-shirt on the back. It's gonna be a fluffy minky, and I don't want something poking through. So let me dig through my scraps and see if I can find something that'll look good there. All right, so I had this solid black strap that was from the Family Force 5 shirt. I think I'm just gonna leave it with the black under here. I'm gonna just do a little square all around that, maybe. Just sew that down so it looks like something's there. Probably cut this flap off and then just make a stitch right there. I just need a little scrap. That's less obvious. All right, let's make sure we got all of it stitched and pinned down. Let's go stitch it and see what we got. I think I'm going to do decorative stitch, maybe. Number 13, it's a wavy situation, since it's kind of a roundish looking thing here. Obviously, it's gonna draw everybody's eyes to it, but you know, when you're scrapping t-shirt quilt. Here we go, y'all. Well, not too bad. Kind of made a little flower out of it. Flower happening there. Not so bad. That way it'll never really peel away. All right, let's go back over here and talk about what we're about to do. All right, a couple things I need to do. I need to trim this off. Trim this off, trim this off, and trim this part off before we can move on. So let's get those trimmed. Okay, y'all, so all of our pieces are all attached. Our top, our middle, and our bottom row are not attached to each other. So there's a seam there and a seam there, right there. I think I'm gonna do a quilt as you go, like you saw me do the Astros, but instead of just a single row, I'm gonna do this 1, 2, and 2 piece. But I'm gonna start with the middle row, which means that I'm gonna have to find the center of my minky and mark it and then pin that to it. and hope I get it all straight. If not, it's gonna be a hot mess. Y'all, I just realized this is what happens when you do multi-day projects. When I attached these to this and these to this, I was supposed to make this narrower, as in this much narrower. But obviously I would have had to cut off the wording, and that was why we didn't cut it with the cutting mat. The other problem is I'm gonna have to sew this in this direction, so it'll be a much shorter blanket. As you can see, it wasn't long enough. But I think how I'm going to remedy this, my options are, I can sew and line up the top 2 rows, actually these 3 in the top 2, and then have all of these off, or I can just move this one to be the middle row. No, that's not what I want to do. I think I'm going to move the single row to be the middle row. I guess that won't really matter though. This guy's gonna be off no matter what I do. But if I put this guy in the middle, no, that won't work either. It's a scrappy t-shirt quilt blanket. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna be even no matter what I do because of this guy. Whoever this guy is right here, this guy, it's his fault. Keep calm and throw a rock fist. I don't even know what a rock fist is. So this is just gonna be a crazy quilt. I can't fix it. I can't do anything about it. Just gonna have to put it on there and go with it. I think I'm gonna end up doing binding because there's not enough all the way around here anyway. So I'm just gonna start by sewing that seam, pinning that seam the way it is, and sewing it on. And she's an engineer. This is gonna drive her and Pops crazy because these seams aren't gonna match up. But as they say, oh man, it's so much wider too. It's gonna be too wide over here. Let me think about this some more. Okay, so what I decided to do is I just went ahead and I'm lining it up over here. I'm not going to worry about any of the vertical seams, the columns. It's a scrappy, awkward t-shirt quilt. So I pinned right sides together, and then I'm going to come back, and this is just going to have a scrap along this edge at some point. So let me triple check, make sure I got the right together. So words are up, we're good to go. Going to do some fabric management real quick now that I got that caught. I'm gonna roll this in, make it easier when I get ready to sew. And I need to also remember not to sew past this pin, because if you'll remember in the Astros quilt I'd come back and rip some seams for the attachments later. So I'm gonna sew this seam, and if all goes well, I'll be able to pin that one on, and then we'll figure out the edging. So keep watching. All right, y'all, you probably saw while I was sewing that this blanket, this row started getting a little puckery. I probably should have a walking foot, but I do not, so it is what it is. And I went ahead and decided to line it all up on this side and just add a patch of some sort on this side. So it's looking pretty good. Time to add the top row. Okay, y'all. So I realized about halfway through this seam that I didn't need to sew that seam by itself because I'm quilting as I go. I should have laid the other sheet or the other rows on top of here, but I know why. Subconsciously I did it because I was concerned about my additional piece. As you can see, I did a little blanket stitch on it because I wasn't sure I captured it. You probably saw me ripping the seam because I didn't capture it the first time. So you also saw me switch back and forth about, I was going to put that little black strip here, and I had almost done pinning it, and I was like, man, this means so much. So I thought the yellow looked better than the dark, so you saw me cut it in strips, piece it together. So let me pin this one on and we'll go from here. Okay, y'all, I got the last section, the last seam sewn on. I smoothed it out and laid it out. And as you can see on this side, I have a little hang, a little overage, so I might try to use it as a side trim. I might try just to double it over. Use it as, what do they call that? A border. That's what I'm looking for. I might make that a border. But at the top, I'm just gonna have to fold each side under, pin them real good, and stitch them. And honestly, that might be what I just do on the side. So let me see what I can figure out. Y'all keep watching. Okay, y'all, so as you know, the bottom of the blanket, I did quilt as you go, so that's a finished edge. And then I came along and I rolled over the fuzz on the two sides. Yes, it's kind of wonky, but that's the joy of a t-shirt blanket. And using a bed as your hard surface versus a floor, and it's worth it on my back. Plus, this was kind of a scrappy, the seams don't all align. I patchworked some things in there. I patchworked this on the edge, and then I patchworked and I blanket stitched on top, and then I did a whole binding patch right over there. Anyway, this is my last edge. You just saw me pin it and clip it. So I'm gonna come along and I'm gonna do a top stitch here, which will finish this edge, make sure it's all caught. And then I'm gonna come back and do a top stitch across the bottom, because that'll be complete. And then I'm gonna trim my threads and call this blanket done. So y'all watch as I hopefully can get this in one shot. Hey y'all, it's Nana So Crafty, all done with this hodgepodge memory t-shirt, quilt, blanket, hot mess that I made for our daughter. Y'all watch the video, tell me what you think. Leave me some comments. What would you like to see me do with other t-shirt blankets? I have a few more boxes, as you can see from behind me. That's just 2 of the boxes I have already cut from our kids. That doesn't account for mine and Pops' shirts and some grandkid shirts. And if y'all know anything about us, we wear lots of t-shirts on our channel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe. Watch our other videos. We've got reviews, how to. Our barn doors getting spray foam. Finishing that up this week. Woohoo! Y'all do all the things and keep watching.